Welcome to the Cricket Fixes podcast, where we tackle the tough topics of personal development, sprinkled with some raw vulnerability and a touch of humor. I'm your host, Cricket, and each episode we're diving into the realms of healing, growth, and self-discovery. So let's be fearless and awesome together. It's time to get your Cricket Fix. Okay, I'd like to welcome you all back to the Cricket Fixes podcast with a very special guest today. Not only is she a friend of mine, but she is my collaborator on the Zero for Life, the Science Meets Soul Method to Alcohol Freedom. Dr. Jennifer Rossi, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Cricket.
I want to first start with how we met, because I just think it's really fucking cool. And when we talk about following the breadcrumbs, this is one of them. So why don't I'll let you speak for how we met.
We met on social media. I was watching some stuff that you were posting and something about it. I was like, I want to be friends with her. So I literally DM'd you, I think, and said, hey, we should be friends. Let's hang out.
I want to call it, no, she slid into my DM.
I slid into your DM. That's right. With my dog, because then we met a good dog park, and our about 1-year-old dogs are besties.
They are.
Yeah.
So it was inevitable. It was written in the stars. We were meant to do that. And then, which I so appreciated. I've really appreciated getting to know you and your journey. And now you're creating your own practice, where you're helping women with their longevity and helping them through perimenopause and menopause and how to optimize their life. And I'm like, yes, I love it. We need you.
Thank you.
So talk a little bit about your journey, because you were an ER physician. So talk about your journey kind of into that and then through it and what you're doing today.
Yeah. So my journey started, I'm allopathically trained, which just means I went to what you would consider a very traditional medical school. And from there did emergency medicine residency. And so I started working in the emergency room, kind of late 20s. And as you can imagine, have seen a lot of things that people have gone through in their life, a lot of kind of how society has affected people. And kind of parallel to that, as I finished residency, I started to dig into my own health and wellness journey. And so at age 30, I joined a CrossFit gym, and that was really transformative for me in terms of all of a sudden starting to learn about fitness and nutrition and the impact of lifestyle on the human body. So I was kind of learning all of this while also working in the hospital. And then over time, just realized that I wanted to kind of help people not be in the ER and help people not wind up with hip fractures when they're 70, when really trying to help them prevent that starts decades earlier. And so that was a lot of it. And I think too, there's a part of me that it was like, okay, we can definitely help people in the moment here, but it's a lot of kind of putting Band-Aids on things. And what are we kind of doing to help support people more holistically before they kind of get into that state of trouble?
Yeah. And getting to the root of it, right?
Yep.
Because that's what I really love about your work, is looking at the root of it and lifestyle changes. And that's really what I think is so beautiful about this collaboration, is we're really speaking to, I love the name that we came up with for the program, the Science Meets Soul Method, because if it weren't for you, we wouldn't have created my dream program, that dream program that I would have wanted when I was giving up alcohol, right? It's understanding what's happening in the brain. It's understanding what's happening in the body. And I think those like logical, like health, like science-based understanding not only reduces shame, but it's a really big motivator for living our best lives, right? And so I love that you bring that.
Thank you. Yeah. And I think when, speaking to alcohol specifically, it's like obviously I've seen it have a tremendous impact on so many lives in the emergency department. But I think even just out and about, people, I don't think have a full understanding of all of the different impacts it has on the human body and pretty much like every single organ system that you can have.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be able to, obviously, like every single week in this program, there's specific information and teaching on effects of
There's a
alcohol on
lot.
your body. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot, but it's the reason is because, I think you can look at the impact alcohol can have on relationships and look at that aspect of things. But there is this piece that it truly is affecting things. I mean, it's a class 1 carcinogen. It has direct effects on your gut health, your liver. It, in any amount, is linked to dementia.
Yeah. And that's what's so important is bringing this information to light. And I'm going to link to this too, because I do want to touch on this. Like there is a big shift culturally around alcohol use.
Mm-hmm.
We've been seeing the trends, millennials, Gen Z really changing things. But the alcohol industry is starting to fight back, right? They're seeing the decline in alcohol use as more of this information comes to light. And so it's all the health reasons, right? The lies that we've been told about, oh, 1 glass a day is really good for you. It's not. It's not safe and healthy in any amount. It is a poison.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to be talking a lot about that, but we're also going to be talking about the neurotransmitters that get disrupted, like how it completely takes your dopamine out of balance. Like then you can't, regulate your own. It's like, whoa, like if I had known these things sooner, it would have been really powerful beyond the motivation to like clean up my own life and change my own relationship with alcohol, which by the way, we call it Zero for Life because I had to and wanted to break up with alcohol for good. Cause I was like, no, just like a toxic relationship, you don't get space in my life. Now alcohol doesn't either. So we'll get into more of that, but what are like, I want to pepper this interview with some real information about what is happening. Why do we crave alcohol? Like from a biological perspective.
So a lot of it has to do with, just like you mentioned, dopamine cycles. So when we have a drink, it is altering specific neurotransmitters in our brain. It's affecting our GABA production. GABA is a inhibitory neurotransmitter. So that's why you get that mellow feeling. It also feeds into your dopamine system. So you get kind of that reward kick. And that's why when you have one drink, then all of a sudden your body starts to crave another one, whether or not you've had quote unquote too much or not. And it actually will reset how your brain then produces your neurotransmitters. So, as you drink alcohol more consistently, your body stops making as much of that kind of inhibitory, that mellow type of neurotransmitter. So your physiology, like your body just wants that external source back to get back to baseline. And so you're almost kind of chasing your tail in this. So it's people, the cravings are not just this psychological piece of, oh, it's fun for me to go out with friends and have a glass of wine. And there's definitely
Right.
that piece to it. But physically, your body actually starts to need the alcohol to start to feel normal. And you don't have to be a super big drinker to get into that state. I think that's one of the kind of myths that people can kind of trap themselves into, is thinking that, oh, well,
Yep.
I'm not drinking that much, it doesn't matter. It's not affecting my brain as much, but really it's like,
It is.
it is.
Yeah. I so appreciate you saying that. So I'm going to use this as a good segue to kind of get into my own story, because I think it's really important that we end the shame around alcohol use and abuse, right? We have a dysregulated nervous system, and we're craving something that is going to give us that little dopamine hit, take the edge off, whatever it is. And we've really never learned the ways to handle it. So my alcohol use and abuse started when I was 13 years old. So I share pretty regularly that at the age of 6 months, my mom was diagnosed bipolar 1. So all I knew was like chaos and rage and severe mental illness. And around 13, my dad actually worked for Miller Brewing. So he would get free beer. I would help him haul it into the house. And I started stealing alcohol. And I was on my own a lot because my mom would be in the hospital. I would be alone. Literally abandoned. Not intentionally, not abusively, but I was alone. And so alcohol became my trusted friend, like that way to support me. And then I would go through these phases of not drinking, like even, like it was actually pretty easy for me to not drink during the week. Like that was a big rule in my 20s. I can remember I was like, you can go fucking wild on the weekend, but come Sunday, like Sunday through Thursday, I would not. Like I remember how like it was a religious thing for me. I was very like self-righteous about it. Well, that all shifted when I moved to San Francisco, and I was working in a very high pressure job in a very stimulating city, around people. The entire culture was drink regularly, drink every day. I just fell into that group of people that were heavy drinkers. And that's when I would say one of the heights of my alcohol use and abuse hit. And then it really started to change once I got my hypnotherapy certification, and I started to understand more about the neural pathways in the brain and these habits that we are creating, and where cravings come from, and how to use the power of our mind to change those cravings and tap into our subconscious. So in 2015, I know I'm rambling, but this is an important part of the story.
Yeah.
In 2015, I started a wellness company because I had my nutritional therapy certification too. And I had enough information to know this alcohol was bad for me. So I was going to change my relationship with it. And in 2015, I gave up alcohol for a full year. And I remember like how I wanted to go through every birthday, every anniversary, I went through funerals. Like I went through every occasion, the good, the bad, weddings, everything. And it was great. And then I was like, okay, I've got this. I've changed my relationship with alcohol. But so that I was paying attention to the neural pathway, but not the neurotransmitter side of it, not this like dopamine side of it. Right. And so I didn't have the nervous system regulators that I needed to get through these challenging times. And slowly, it took about 2 years, but slowly I resumed alcohol. And then I got into a very toxic relationship, and alcohol was my survival strategy. When I gave up alcohol, which by the way, tomorrow will make it 2 years alcohol free. I gave up alcohol 3 days before a psychedelic journey I did legally. I have to say I did it legally and with a guided legal service center. But I was only able to give it up 3 days before. And I never drank again because I completely rewired my identity around alcohol. But at the height of my drinking, I was drinking 7 to 8 drinks a day. I was literally figuring out, okay, I've got pickleball at 6. So I'm going to I was like fitting in a drink at 2:00, and then I would give myself like a couple hours without a drink. I would go play pickleball. I would have a drink with friends there, and then I would drive home, and then I would have like six or seven more drinks at home by myself every fucking day. And I am here to say, like, thank God nothing horrible happened. But I certainly did so many things that I regret, and I blacked out, and more than anything, I lost myself in my alcohol. I lost who I was. I lost my authentic self. I didn't know who I was. All right, I'm going to stop rambling right now, but I thought it was really important because Jen brings the science and I'm just going to bring the soul. Like, I'm going to bring the reality of what some of you might be feeling out there is like, who are these women to come and talk to me about drink? Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. She's been there. So like, I think that's what's so beautiful about our work together too, Jen, is really ending the shame, right? Like, and I want to talk about, you don't have to, like you've said this, you don't have to hit rock bottom, but you got to see firsthand what the effects of alcohol were coming in to the ER. So talk a little bit about that, because people don't get to see in volumes what's happening as a society with alcohol, and you have.
Yeah, I mean, I think, look, it's no secret that it is hard to live in America these days for a lot of people and for a lot of reasons, that people are dealing with a tremendous amount of stress.
Yes.
And it is a way that people have to, quote unquote, relax, take the edge off, self-medicate, however you want to cut it.
Cool.
And, and yes, I've seen the spectrum of some patients who very, very heavy drinkers, severe liver disease, and I think that's the super minority though. Like, it's also seeing the effects on people's blood pressure that then led them to have heart attacks. It's seeing, 1 in 5, I think the stat is 1 in 5 people report binge drinking every month. So it's not that necessarily they're having drinks every single day, but there might be a period of time where you're binging, and during that period, unfortunately, can see lots of accidents happening. I've seen people trip on the sidewalk and wind up with brain bleeds, it does run the spectrum. And then also, unfortunately, it can lead to a lot of domestic abuse, which I've also seen kind of that aspect of things. Or people, and I think the other thing that I haven't kind of talked to yet is if you're anxious, if you're depressed, while it may take, as you start to drink, it feels good, it actually exacerbates both of those two things. So it's almost like pouring gasoline on anxiety or on depression. And so that can also lead to people getting into a state where they need to seek help because of just, either feeling suicidal or feeling super anxious or for whatever reason. So, and I think, and I'm just going to speak, we are both, in our 40s, and,
I'm in my 50s.
I don't want to out you on your age, but yes, just like midlife.
53.
And just with hormone changes, it also affects our
Oh,
body differently. Like,
yeah.
let's, just, I'm kind of pulling it back to my work a little bit. But, as our estrogen, progesterone start to change in perimenopause and menopause, and then that doesn't buffer our cortisol as much. And then you start to drink on top of that, it makes it worse. So women actually wind up being even more sensitive than our male counterparts, which is, why it's like one of the first lifestyle factors that I'll hone in on with patients who
Yeah.
are having, yeah, because it kind of cutting it out of your life can have huge effects on just like how much
Ugh.
energy and vitality and like you're
Sleep.
able to do all the rest of the things.
Yeah. I am so glad that you talked about perimenopause and menopause and alcohol use and the impact on hormones and inflammation. Like
Mhm.
it's already challenging enough to go through that without alcohol. I was in like full body pain every single day until I gave up alcohol. Like I have Hashimoto's, and I
Mm.
know that contributed to flare ups and, um, yeah, the pain, the anxiety. Like I always talk about, I tend to talk more about, how it impacted me spiritually or personally or and living out my life purpose, which I love to talk about, but just me like daily functioning, like that's what you're bringing up, especially as a middle-aged woman, is like our sleep is king.
Mhm.
And what a disruptor it is. It's a lie that it prepares you for your rest. It robs you of deep restorative sleep. So I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, but it's all a lie. It adds to anxiety. It makes sleep more difficult. And a lot of this I didn't know. And had I known this, it would have been such a motivator for me.
Yeah, it does affect sleep. It can help you fall asleep, but then what it does is it actually prevents you from getting that deep restorative sleep that your body and your brain needs to
Hmm.
actually repair itself. And so you
Hmm.
wake up, you might have slept the same amount of time, but you're not going to wake up feeling as rested. And it tends to also encourage those like nasty 2 a.m., 3 a.m. wake ups,
Hmm.
whereas it's kind of like wearing off. And then it's also doing some things to your blood sugar, which can help or not help, but it helps wake you up.
Right, right.
So yeah, so lots of sleep disturbances. Um, yeah.
But yeah, but we're told just have one, right? Just everything in moderation. It's such bullshit, and I'm calling bullshit. And I do want to kind of reference the Self magazine article that came out about uh, women in particular that are choosing to be alcohol free, and this kind of like what's the word I'm looking for? This like this backlash that comes with it, or thinking that we're self righteous. I posted. I want to address this too because I posted. On my social media, I did a post about can we just like end the shame of alcohol abuse and start talking about it because I'm very open with my story. And this woman came on and said, I'm sick and tired of hearing about all of you alcohol abusers that have shit going on in your life and you gave up alcohol and now you want everyone else to be alcohol free. Okay, I'm talking to you. And it's kind of like this Self magazine too. It's like, oh, now that you figured out, like, you're fucked up. Now you want everyone else to heal their own fucked up shit. And I responded to her in a very kind way. And I was like, the invitation is for you to, like, I'm talking about alcohol abuse on this post. Period. I'm talking about alcohol abuse. I'm not saying that everyone should be alcohol free because I absolutely 100% believe in sovereignty.
Mhm.
And I'm not oh, you should do this and you shouldn't do that. Hey, let's educate you on what's actually happening so you can make a decision for yourself. on what you want for your own life. So I'm not judging you if you continue to drink. That's your prerogative. But I did say to her too, I was like, here's my invitation. I clearly call out alcohol abuse. So if you're not abusing alcohol and you don't identify with that, then this post isn't for you. So why is it triggering you? Is there a part of you that is feeling some shame? And which I believe to be, true, but I believe, like I've said this, I stand by this. I've always said within the next 7 years, alcohol will be looked at just as cigarette smoking is. I really believe that. The more that the research gets spread about what's happening in the body, its impact, its connection to cancer, right, as you're talking about dementia, like it's going to be looked at like cigarette smoking. I believe that. And then I'm like, maybe it won't even be 7 years. It might, and we're a part of that, is just getting the word out. And then people get to make choices about that for themselves. I'm going off on a tangent.
Well,
but
and I think there's already data to suggest, the younger generations, alcohol, like drinking is way down in kids in their, not kids, excuse me, people in their 20s.
These kids these days. That's funny. Yeah, young adults are
young adults, yeah.
That. And this article, I think this is also important too, is this article talks about, well, that generation, you see an increase in vaping. So let's talk about the elephant in the room, is that nobody is teaching people how to regulate their nervous system, which is one of the 33 tools of transformation you get in our program, is learning how to regulate your nervous system, right?
Right. Well, and I was like, I don't drink anymore. I never drank until I started working in emergency medicine, actually. That's when I would have, okay, I'm done with the shift. I'm going to go have a glass of wine to unwind. And once I, kind of share personally, I went through a divorce recently and did a lot of healing, nervous system work, introspection, and have been introduced to nervous system regulation and kind of burnout recovery myself. It was like, this is actually not the tool I need. Yeah. This is actually the exact thing I don't need to be doing. I need to be doing breath work and walking outside in nature. And when I'm feeling this shaking, like there's so many other different ways to get that effect than pouring a glass of wine, which just, I think, aren't taught enough. And like, I love, like, you're so good at teaching these. Like, I'm so excited I'm excited to learn more too, because I don't even think I know 33 tips myself.
Oh yeah. There's so many things available to us. Like, that's why I call this, like, when I was going through my alcohol-free journey, I was pulling from all different places, right? Because I really wanted that balance of what's happening in my brain and the science behind it. But I also wanted that soul aspect. Like, I wanted an identity shift, right? I didn't want my identity anymore. Like, my identity was wrapped around alcohol. When I was a cigarette smoker, my identity was wrapped around cigarette smoking and that break that you go outside with your coworkers. And it's like, well, what happens? Who am I without that, without them, without this time to like break and come into connection? Like, even community connection, which is a very big part of our program, is an important part. That's one of the 33 tools of how you shift your identity, right? Is coming into deep, vulnerable connection with other human beings to say, I see you. I'm going to validate your experience, which validation, that's another one of the 33 tools of transformation. Being seen and met where you are is such a de-escalator, is such a soother for the nervous system. Jen and I we were having one of our our meetings to talk about the program and looking at things. And we had the most beautiful, like, hey, can we just stop for a minute? Because I'm feeling dysregulated. Can we remember that? Talk through it and just saying, yeah, I see you.
Yeah.
Right? How did that feel for me to say, wow, that makes sense to me?
It's
How can I
amazing.
how can I
Yeah,
support
I
you?
think I told you, I was like, I'm just feeling a little tender right now and
Yes.
stupid. And I just need to vocalize this. And then we kind of like worked through what we were
Yeah.
and yeah,
What
it's,
a gift. What
it's
a gift.
powerful to be able to say, hey, I am not feeling kind of like fully centered or feeling right. And I don't
Grounded.
really know what's going on, but I just need to vocalize I'm having this feeling. And
Yeah.
then being able from there to work through it. And yeah, it's very powerful.
It is. I swear to God, at least for me personally, I'll, both Jen and I will bring this to the program is I feel like genuine validation when someone says to you, that makes sense to me. It makes sense why that would be coming up is one of the most powerful ways to turn down the volume on an emotion that feels uncomfortable. Because being seen can mean for many people feeling safe. And that's what came out of my journey when I call it my rebirthday. When I was exploring that with my guide, she's like, you're doing it to feel safe because you just need to feel safe. And so that's what we're going to teach you in the program is how to find that safety within yourself. And, we talk a lot about inner child healing too. And sometimes I'll just go into, can I just talk to your little girl right now? Or if it's a man I'm talking about, is it okay if I talk to your little boy right now? Cause I'm sensing he's the one that's feeling and thinking and coming up right now. Would that be okay? It
Mm-hmm.
seems weird at first, but holy shit. Yes. I want that little girl to feel heard and safe and supported and oh, that tenderness, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, Jen, as you're thinking about someone who's on their journey to optimizing their life, their health, wanting the very best, what is your number one tip if they're thinking about or looking at their relationship with alcohol? How would you tell them start here? Start right here.
And I think when we think about habit change, a lot of it is just awareness at first. That's the base. And I think, and being completely honest with yourself
Mm,
about what actually is going on in your life.
hmm
And that really is, so it's like, the first step in the journey is not even that first step that you're taking. It's kind of putting your coat on or realizing that you have to make a move. You have to start walking down a path. And I think too, sometimes people have an inkling that a habit isn't serving them very well. And,
hmm
we're talking about alcohol in this conversation, but let's be honest. I mean, there's so many different addictions in this world, and you don't even
Yes.
have to be addicted to want to make a habit change. I think that's the other kind of key point I want to make here is you can just recognize that something is not serving you and you want to eliminate it in your life because you see your life moving into a more positive direction if you don't bring it along with you. And I
Mm-hmm.
honestly feel like that is from there, change happens. But
Yeah.
it's like that deep desire for wanting something different and better for yourself.
I love that. And that's another tool that we have in the toolbox for everyone is some really powerful journal prompts that help you get out of your head and drop into your heart to understand where am I? What is going on? What do I want for myself? What do I dream for myself? And being able to start to see that alcohol doesn't have any function in getting you there. In fact,
Mhm.
you can start to see that it's actually either a distraction or a roadblock, depending on how you're using it. For me, it was a full stop roadblock. So I love that awareness. It's also body awareness, right? Like how we learn to get out of our head and start getting into our body to see where does dysregulation show up? And where in our life are we like, holy cow, this is a big one, right? Like how to create really unbreakable boundaries, where to see where we do have power to shift some change in our life, because holy shit, you're right. We are so stressed. We do not have a system. Speak to this, because we do not have a system in the United States that supports a regulated nervous system. In fact, it keeps us dysregulated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the society that we live in as a whole is not set up to support kind of healthy nervous systems. And I think you have to be really careful with how you're engaging with things and do a lot of self-stewardship. But one of the things kind of to that point is I think for a lot of people is the social aspect of alcohol. We both live in Bend. There's a lot of breweries around here. There's a lot of social activities that focus on going out. And I think it can become hard for people to say, hey, I'm not going to have the beer when I go to the brewery, because more of a social thing, right? So it's like being a part of a group that together is choosing to do something different in those social environments. It's almost like, okay, well, I'm going to be with this group mentality. So I think there is also something very helpful in being a part of a group that is choosing alcohol freedom and can help support you through moments of like, hey, I'm going to this brewery with my friends tonight and I'm really worried about peer pressure, like to have other peers cheering you on in maybe choosing a non-alcoholic version can be tremendously helpful.
Yeah, no doubt. I think you do bring up a good point, right? Like that social aspect. And I've heard people say it's hard to be a non-drinker in Bend, Oregon. And I will stand by this. No, it's not. It is not hard, because that's part of the identity shift, right? Is that we feel that inclusion looks like mirroring the behaviors of people around us. And so that's where I really bring like a different like perspective and a reframe to that. That's about, oh, no, you get to be the badass that's standing in your power. Like you get to be the one that unapologetically, because here's the thing, when I go out and someone's like, hey, can I get you a beer? And they don't know I'm a non-drinker. I'm like, oh no, that's okay. I'm good. Like it doesn't have to be a thing. Like they don't even, half the time they don't even know that I don't drink, or they're like, hey, how about a beer? And I'll be like, oh, do they have an NA? Because I enjoy an NA every now and then. And I'm always met with curiosity. It's almost like our own power, our own confidence in our choices tells people energetically, you do not get to fuck with me about this. You do not get to tease me about this. You don't get to say, oh, what's wrong with you? Do you like who? And if anyone in my orbit said to me, oh, do you have a problem with alcohol? I'd be like, yeah, I do. Would you like to discuss that with me? but like nobody's going to, I wouldn't hang around with anyone that says that, because it says more about their challenges than mine. But when we can remove the shame and find our own personal power in the choices that we make, we find that we are supported. And then what I end up doing, so I go out. I go out and let's go to the brewery, and yeah, you guys have your drink, and then I just end up removing myself before I start to see the personality changes, because more than anything, it just becomes uncomfortable for me to see people, quote unquote, losing themselves. And again, it's not a judgment. It's just more a reflection of the sadness and grief that I feel. If I can't connect with you authentically, I don't really have a huge desire to be around that. I can always tell where there's a point where I'm like, oh, it's time to remove myself from when I have to manage your energy. I gotta go. And I'm sure you know what that feels like.
No, totally. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I view alcohol as like, if you want to lower your vibration, one of the quickest
Ooh,
ways
yes.
to do that is with a drink. And
Yeah.
in not drinking, I've had some of the best connections, best conversations
Mm,
with people. Like, I never have to worry if I'm too tired. Like, it just, there's real authentic communication. And
mhm.
that to me is way more interesting than just kind of like being half numb and kind of hanging out with each other. But
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Oh, that's so beautiful. Like, I love that you're saying that too, because that's the soul aspect of the science meets soul. And I think something important, like Jen and I are aligned on both of these things, both the science and soul. We both have this perspective. We both believe in how powerful bringing these two components to this program is. So I'll wrap up with this. Jen, I want to say thank you for being a collaborator with me on this program because it's really powerful. Your education, the work that you've spent, your experience in medicine brings such an important component to the conversation and to the program and to people's easier path to alcohol freedom. So I want to thank you, like, sincerely
thanks.
for joining forces with me on this. And I want to end with sharing with folks like what's included with the program, because again, this is my dream program. We're launching it January 20th of 2026, but we are giving you the starter kit that will launch on by December 31st. So before you go into the new year, you will have time to work with the content and the material to start your journey before we come together as a group. We're limiting it to 30 participants so that we have a really tight, intimate cohort doing this important work together. It's 6 weeks long. Once a week, you'll come onto a live Zoom with Dr. Jen and I and your cohort for 90 minutes to work through this information, these tools to really navigate like real life experiences that are coming up. But we're going to help you rewire your brain too. And then you're going to get the 33 tools of transformation. So that's going to include things like journal prompts, like shaking, EFT tapping. You're going to get multiple guided hypnosis sessions that are literally helping rewire your brain, and Jen sprinkling in all of her knowledge. We're going to give you a nutritional program and supplement support so that the craving, like what's happening like in your body, you can get some ease with that. Oh my gosh, I'm just so fucking stoked about this. And then you're literally going to get support with us every single day in the cohort, in the chat, so that when those things come up between the sessions, we're right there walking beside you. What am I missing? I'm sure I'm missing. There's so much to this program.
Oh, uh, supplement guidance too.
Yep.
Um,
Yep. Supplement guidance that's going to help support your brain go, oh, okay. We're not just, oh my gosh, like you're not going to have to white knuckle your way through this. I think that was the biggest fear that I had is I knew what it was like to give up alcohol before. I knew what it was like to give up cigarettes. I knew what it was like to give up a trauma bond. Like I know addiction. I know what it's like to get off of something that you're addicted to. And we're going to make it so much easier. It's like this smooth landing instead of just this like fucking falling out of the sky, white knuckle. No, you're going to get the community connection that we're building, but also the journal prompts that are going to support you. Jen, I just want
and
to
it's
thank
gonna be
you.
fun. Like,
Yeah, it totally is.
I feel like our conversation's a little serious right now, but we're pretty fun people, and
We are fun. We are fun. We're
yeah,
so fun.
there'll be laughter, there'll be joy.
Yes, there'll be tears.
That too.
But
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I did forget. But you'll also get a full year summit membership to Cricket Fixes. And I think that's important because let's talk about what's included in that. It's an $895 value. That's a part of the program. So you'll get my transformative healing, meeting and reparenting your inner child. That's a 4-week self-paced program with a guided hypnosis session to teach you how to meet your inner child. I really think that is foundational to everything that I offer and collaborate with in Cricket Fixes, is being able to meet your inner child and heal those wounded parts. You'll also get 4 fast track Cricket courses every year. These are courses on learning how to do mirror work, learning how to drop into presence. You'll also get access to $500 off my retreat partners. So psilocybin retreat partners I have, Odyssey retreats, Beckley retreats are both partners, and they give you $500 off a psilocybin retreat, as well as all of my practitioners that have their courses in like breath work or somatic healing. They give 50% off. So all of these things are included with the program. So you're brought into the broader like membership and marketplace of Cricket Fixes too. And if anyone has listened this far, take advantage of 20% off and use podcast 20 at checkout so that you can save and you can join us in January for literally my dream program to get off of alcohol. Jen, thanks so much for joining me on this journey.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you all in January. All right, well, let's do this. Are you ready for your own personal transformation? Tired of the patterns that are holding you back, and you're ready to finally unleash your authentic self? Head over to cricketfixes.com. You're going to find memberships packed with life-changing courses, exclusive discounts to the partner marketplace, and a community that's already waiting to welcome you in. You can join for free or go all in and start your next chapter today.